Welcome to the webinar. I'm delighted to have you here with me, Sumi. So let's quickly do a few ground rules. So everybody else except for us is, of course, muted during the webinar. We're recording the session, so we're gonna make it available in the next few days for everybody who signed up for the webinar. And of course, we're also gonna share a few slides later on, but in the following days. So no need to take screenshots. Yeah, you'll get the slides at a later point when you signed up for the webinar. So then, I would say the honor is all yours, Sumi.
Okay.
Say a few words to yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone, and thank you, David and IC Consult for hosting this webinar. I'm Sumi. I'm a Principal Product Manager in Microsoft Security Engineering CXE, specifically focusing on Entra Suite and Entra ID Governance.
Yeah. So then me, David, now newly appointed Vice President of IGA Europe. And yeah, in my past life, I also had a lot of touch points with Microsoft. Even one of my old Microsoft contacts chatted me up. They're currently deploying a lot of your products, Sumi, by the way, in the company. Sadly, I can't tell NDA, but it's nice to be back in the Microsoft world and have an outlook what is coming. So I'm excited what we're going to show in this webinar. And let's go to our next slide. So just quick few words to IC Consult. We're a company focused on all the things around identity access management, which of course there's now, well, even in the past before there was Entra ID Governance, no way around Microsoft. But now we're proud to have Microsoft as one of our partners and also as a vendor in that space. And as you mentioned, Sumi, you're not the new kid on the block anymore. You're the new teen, as you're also combining existing products. But in IGA terms, we're still very in a very young age. But we see a lot of traction there, and Microsoft is definitely here to stay. So that's what we from IC Consult already know, and I think everybody can read up the rest online about our company. But we have business in the US, in the States, and of course all over Europe. So if you need an international partner, yeah, please call us.
Perfect. Do you want to move slides?
So here we are.
Okay, so thank you so much, David. I think we really value having IC Consult and the sort of expertise that you bring to the table in terms of, IGA, identity security, and so much more. And so, really happy to be here and support IC Consult with this webinar. Today, I thought I would take a few minutes basically to give an introduction to all of our audience on everything from Entra to Entra Suite, and then dive into Entra ID Governance for a little bit. If we can move slides. Okay, so we've had Entra Suite. I think there are a few. Yeah, this is perfect. So we've had Entra in the market as our solution for our sort of family of products for identity and access management and network access for about a few years now. For those who are not familiar, Entra is Microsoft's solution and it's a product family. It does everything from establishing zero trust access controls with Entra ID P1. To those who are familiar with the old world terminology, this is Azure Active Directory or Azure AD. That's what this maps to, the first pillar, which is Entra ID P1. Last year, we announced the availability of Microsoft Entra Suite. That's what I'll be talking about today. This is primarily intended to secure access for employees. So basically taking that zero trust framework that we've helped you establish with the Entra ID P1 and then extend that out to ensure secure access for all your employees, no matter where they are, what app, etc. We'll talk through that, right? But it's not just employees. We also enable secure access for customers and partners, and we do this using Entra External ID. And finally, we secure access in any cloud. This includes non-human identities as well. That's where our workload identities solution comes in. But let's dive into Entra Suite. And I'm going to keep this really quick. There's a ton of resources that are available for you to go and understand a lot more about this. So what did we announce about Entra Suite and where does Entra Suite really play? Right? Within Entra Suite, so it's a bundle of products. And so this bundle sits on top of P1. So our assumption is that a customer has P1, has set up those zero trust access controls. This includes, so the foundation is that you've already enabled SSO, MFA, you've connected all your apps, and you have enabled conditional access. So you already understand how the sort of adaptive authentication capabilities within Microsoft are coming into play for you within the environment. Building on top of this is Entra Suite, and that's what we're looking at right here. And we enable secure access for employees with the help of 5 solutions. Right at the center is Entra ID Governance. That's what we're talking about today, right? This enables the people to have the right access to the right resources for the right duration across at the right permission levels, right? Building on top of this, a very exciting proposition that we came out with last year is Entra Private Access and Entra Internet Access. This is our Zero Trust Network Access solution or our global secure access solution, if you keep up with the terminology in this space. And with the help of Entra Private Access and Internet Access, you're able to really secure the network in an identity-centric way. That's the primary thing that you should keep in mind when you're thinking about these 2 solutions. Backing this up is Entra ID protection, something that probably everyone is already familiar with, which is using AI and ML signals to really extend that conditional access and detect risky users at sign-in and to give you that signal in an actionable way. Finally, our stance on verified ID or decentralized ID, something that I know gets a lot of interest in the European markets, especially, and now and as well as the US market. So this is very much top of mind for everybody who's looking to adopt or find a way so that the end users are in control of their own identities and that happens in a verified way. What we've done here is we've added the premium capabilities, which is a capability called face check, where you can make sure that every time you are sure that the user is who they say they are. Think of social engineering attacks that are just very common nowadays. This is where verified ID can play a very strong role for you. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so what is our vision for Entra Suite, right? With Entra Suite, our idea is that any employee, whether their identity is stored on premises, it's stored in the cloud, doesn't matter. Any employee in any location, right? This is especially for the apps that they're accessing. When you think about it, right? Are they in HQ, a branch office, whether they're home or they're remote? When accessing on any platform and when accessing through any device, is then able to securely access those corporate resources, whether they are apps or resources on premises, on whether they are Microsoft 365 or other SaaS or websites. We understand that a customer's environment, especially enterprise environments, can be very, very diverse. And you will find that that is what Entra Suite, as well as Entra in general, aims to protect. So it's not just for your Microsoft resources, it is intended and does protect the entire estate of several very large customers today. If you look at the Gartner Magic Quadrant or any of the other sort of ratings, you can see Entra is right up there as the leader. And so you can understand that this is backed by the fact that we protect all resources that exist within a customer environment using advanced even capabilities like Entra Suite. Next.
So I think the next slide actually shows this pretty nicely.
Yes.
So
So when it comes down to Entra Suite, getting into the nuts and bolts, right? Think of Entra Suite as bringing to, like, why those 5 products within Entra Suite, right? Think of them from the point of view of this end-to-end life cycle of a user, starting with, onboarding that user, whether it is employee onboarding or guest onboarding. Microsoft Entra Verified ID provides the most secure way that you can onboard these remote employees. Today, it's very common for employees to be somewhere else, whereas the office is somewhere else, the team is somewhere else, the manager is somewhere else, right? Whether it is employees or guests. And so with Verified ID, we're able to bring the best in standard in terms of authentication and onboarding capability to the table. Then you want to govern this access, because this information, the version of truth exists in an HR solution somewhere. You want to be able to take this and you want to be able to model what that onboarding lifecycle looks like. And it's not just that the profile could be that of a privileged user, in which case you can use privileged identity management to grant just-in-time access, and you can
Mm.
back this up and make sure. I think my network went bad for just a second. All right, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I already thought it's mine.
Okay. Now when you take this governed access and this model lifecycle, you can then extend it every single time that they're trying to access a resource, and this access could be over, multiple networks, and not all of these networks are secure. You need to make sure that these resources are accessed in a secure way. This is where our global secure access proposition comes in. This is through Entra Internet Access. We secure access to those internet resources, and through Entra Private Access to resources that are private. This could be private cloud, on premises, this could be,
Mm.
any sort of apps that exist over there. And we do all this in an identity centric way. What we mean by this is that the ability for admins to then configure this sits within the conditional access experience. And so all of this is builds on top of what you've already put in from a P1 perspective. And the same goes for your auditing and reporting capabilities as well. So think of this entire estate in your hands to secure access to all of your employees across their life cycle. Now, let's dive into our Entra ID governance proposition. Right now, I spoke about how that lifecycle automation happens in that governing access
Mm.
piece. But the way this works is across, like a typical IG explanation is across the JML or the joiner, mover, leaver processes. So we have enabled Entra to be able to connect with any HR system. We have connectors, we have APIs, etc., that today any customer can connect any HR source, multiple HR sources, etc., to really bring that information into the directory. Once it's in through Entra, you can connect to your AD on premises or Active Directory on premises, to other identity providers, and then connect to all of those apps and provision access to those apps, whether they are SaaS, that is in the cloud, or whether they're on premises and AD based or non-AD based. So this is where Entra is able to take that and then connect that all the way from the onboarding process with very secure practices like verified ID, really complementing that capability, right? To mover processes as people move across the organization with the help of access reviews, privileged identity management, etc. And then when the worker leaves as well, in the form of logic apps or customizations to or custom extensibility to make sure that the process is modeled based on the compliance that customers may want to achieve over time. Complementing this capability is access packages that can enable customers to really model or create catalogs and model roles and other such constructs within the company to make sure that this access is granted in a governed way over time, as the organization changes things like roles or access or has new compliance, etc., to adopt to over time. One thing that I want to talk about here that everybody should keep in mind is that our solution is built for simplicity. So it is very common that if you are already leveraged or if you're already using Entra ID P1, You don't have to go connect those apps again. You don't have to go set up those things again. So it's a matter of weeks for you to go do JML automation. So this is a very important thing, and this is where our true advantage can be realized by the customers. That's not a matter of months or years; it's a matter of weeks to get started once you have decided on our solution. Okay.
Absolutely. So we have many companies using AD for steering applications, so they are already connected. So you can use the good old AD groups, security groups thing to do that. But you can also now make it more sophisticated. So anyway, enterprise apps, when you look at the overview, we're always asked, do you have standard connectors? So the good old question for the standard connector. But if I look at the enterprise SaaS apps catalog, so if you're going for SASE implementation, then I would say that the Microsoft is on the top of the line because every application is actually looking that they are integrated into Entra ID. So for the IT admins, of course, we are the technicians. We also like sometimes a challenge, but it's really plug and play, and you can just select it and then connect the SaaS application to it. So that was really interesting. And we also have customers where we use then Entra ID, of course, to steer through Entra ID. But now we don't need a third-party application anymore. Now we have Entra ID Governance, so we could, for some of our customers, just remove that and just go completely Microsoft. And thanks for already taking that part from me, Sumi. So anyway, we have some demos later. So some of those capabilities Sumi just talked about and showed some fancy slides. We, of course, at IC Consult have an own lab. We have our own people. So every time Sumi, you announce something, we have at least two or three people jumping up and say, okay, we're first going to test that. And we're going to bring you that demo later on. And yeah,
Absolutely. I think, even though we have our solution is there, every customer has unique requirements. And a partner like IC Consult that truly understands the technology, understands the domain of, what IGA and compliance requirements are there, and is able to model that in the solution is what will drive a customer to success. So absolutely, we can't be successful without our partners, and we can't be successful just stand alone as a solution. So we, really appreciate the work that you can bring to the table and the value that you can bring to our joint customers.
thank you a lot, Sumi. So I think we have one slide left before we go into the demos.
No, I think let's go to the next slide.
The next one, okay, no
Yes.
problem.
Okay. So one of the examples where, and we're seeing a lot of, momentum from the industry, from our customers in terms of what the solution is. One such example is the great partnership we have with SAP, right? Microsoft as a platform has a lot of affinity for SAP customers. We've had a long-standing relationship in terms of, being a target for RISE programs for SAP. We've extended that along with SAP right now. We're working with them to also extend that to the identity domain. And so, as part of the modernization initiative that a lot of SAP customers are going through right now, right? um, Rising to the cloud, if you will. One of the things that we're working together is to integrate and bring Entra and SAP's GRC solutions to work, or SAP solutions to work much more closely together. And the way that we're doing this is, number one, if a customer has SAP IDM, SAP has recommended that Entra is the only sort of target solution that they would recommend customers move to. I think we are ready in terms of being able to absorb a lot of those use cases. And so that's something that you can absolutely explore with IC Consult to see what you can do more of. The other thing that we're doing is we're also working on a vision to enable so that your Entra can manage all of your landscape, including your SAP landscape. And we do this by connecting with the SAP GRC solution, or integrating with the SAP GRC solution, so that you can leverage your SAP solutions or SAP GRC solution to manage your SAP environment, but then you're able to bring that all the way up to Entra, that information. And so your identity control plane sits at Entra, and then Entra helps you overcome all of these identity silos that you may have created over time, and you can manage it centrally in one place. So this is we're working also on along the lines of success factors. We are able to, clean up outdated integration roles, access rights. We're able to do risk analysis, or, really give you that value by integrating with those SAP solutions. But just imagine a world where you don't have to manage your SAP and non-SAP landscape separately, but you're doing that in one go, right? So I think this is a great value add. With that, I
Yeah.
want to hand it over to David. And thank you so much for the opportunity. Please keep those questions coming. We'd love to answer any more that you have on the chat.
Yeah. I just opened slide 12 again because that's actually a good point. So not being siloed in, we see this a lot when we talk with SAP customers. Of course, I've worked a long time with SAP IDM. So I will not gonna lie, turning it off is a bit emotional for me, but as it is with IT, so now it's the yeah, retiree of the on the block. Yeah, so SAP IDM has to go. It has a limited capabilities. Always had limited capabilities. Needed SAP GSC on top. But what the real value is for going for a new modern IGA, and in this case Entra ID Governance, is that you really don't have this silo anymore. So don't think about private internet resources, but just think about this being your SAP landscape and not all the rest. Now we have all in one view. You have all in one governance, so this can be done all in one, and it's not a separate silo anymore. And that's I think for many SAP teams a new era that comes up, because in a lot of companies there's IT and there's SAP. And this will help to grow it a bit further together in future. So perfect. Then I've brought a few demos. I'm not sure if we can go through all of them, but be assured you will get the slides. You can go through it. So we said, okay, let's do a bit more hands-on. Let's really show what you can do with a few scenarios already. Of course, there's a complete standardized scenario. So let's go to our first demo. So that would be the automated employee lifecycle. And then we just do a simple joiner, mover, leaver scenario with an employee. So there we go. So we have a few personas here. So just that you know which slides we're showing. So if it's blue, then it's the end user, the joiner, the person who will join the company. If it's red, then you're the classical manager. And we also included the admin views. We have them in the slides, but we made them invisible for now because it would be too much for this webinar now. But rest assured, we can also have a look at the nitty-gritty technical stuff if even needed. Yeah, because those scenarios are mainly can be covered by these templates. So this is the view that is constantly updated, and here we have some built-in templates. So you already have already a way to start with your journey. So if we need pre-hire, we can select that. But the good thing is, of course, as Sumi mentioned, every company has its own workflows and things to do. So some companies don't even have a pre-hire. Some companies do 1 month early and even activate the accounts, which other companies would tell me, please don't do it from a regulatory standpoint. So this always means we have to change adapter processes. That's IGA 101. And Entra ID Governance is no different and offers this opportunity. So here we already see in this overview, we have now the process joiner pre-hire. And as you can see, we create a user account, but we keep it disabled. We're gonna send an email for onboarding. We even have our own custom logic, just that we just to adapt some of the process or show that we can do some customizations there. Then we're gonna generate a temporary access pass. and send an email to the hiring manager with the temporary access pass. Of course, this can be modified in quite various of things. So it's always the question how to get the first password to the people. There's also a solution from Microsoft, yeah, that's with verified ID, for example, but for external joiners. So there are a few possibilities here. So I will not go through all the details now because otherwise we're going to run out of time. So here we have the technical perspective. So please don't be scared about that. So it's just for the people doing the technical stuff that they have a look here. So it's all exposed also through Graph API provisioning logs. So can be seen also from a monitoring admin perspective. But in this case, we're gonna move on to the more real world scenarios. So how the end users should see this and how we keep our managers and all the users who are using identity access governance, but don't even want to know that they're using identity access governance. That's the truth. We want to make it an easy scenario for all the parties involved by being compliant at the same time. So here we just a notification that soon a new employee will join. So the manager is already informed. It's an important notice. So the HR system in this case said, okay, in 7 days, the hiring date will be reached. So now we're going to inform the manager or that a new person will join, just that they're not surprised that somebody shows up on the day one. There are, of course, other processes in companies, but there we are. So that's it. We will show all the things with temporary access pass and launches are in the PowerPoint, but just for time's sake, we're going to jump to the final email. So here, the manager is informed there will be an onboarding. Now also, since time has run, so in this case, we kept the same day, but we could say, okay, 3 days before the employee joins, a temporary access pass is generated. So on day one, now the manager can go and provide this temporary access pass to the employee. So Barbara can log in and then set a new password, get the Microsoft Authenticator app working, and yeah, getting acquainted. And of course, this person would also be able not be able to log in this case because here we keep the account deactivated. You could, of course, already activate it, but in this case, we keep it deactivated. So we know that this person can't log in until the joiner date has been reached and the person will be will be activated. And then that's where the person can also use this temporary access pass. Here, just from an admin perspective, just that you see, we can then also see in the different stages if that has run through successfully, or if we, yeah, or if we are running into an error there. Yeah. Then let's go to a next scenario, just the joiner hire. So here we will go just quickly through the joiner scenario as well. So here, Barbara is presented then. So she just joined the team. So as in the first scenario, the manager has provided password. So now Barbara has an email and is asked to log in here. And this is just to show how, of course, the manager can request this access beforehand. We can also automate this access. So this is for demo purposes. So here, Barbara can see which access packages that Sumi just talked about a few minutes ago is assigned to her. So here she sees already I have one access package and this is assigned to me. Okay, the demo team has not taken a good description. So we that's always what we tell with our customers. Please do proper description of access packages. So she would already know which access packages as assigned here. And of course, we can also show the customer then suggested packages. So If Barbara might need more roles or more access in her role, then this would be suggested, and she could also on her own request this, which of course will go through another workflow then as well. Yeah. And then just a quick outlook to leave a scenario. So we're not going to show any slides on this, but just that you know that this is of course also included, because leaving is also important to be considered here to clean up properly. So here we have just a few example scenarios that we put into our lab work, but of course we can add much more here. So what is really, really good here and what I like is when companies do this, but that's just the IGA guy speaking, 40 days prior notice, so that the manager can do all the necessary offboardings, already know where to remove the people. So in this case, we thought, okay, we're already gonna remove the user automatically from selected teams, from selected groups. And then, of course, when the leaver termination comes on the last day, we go through all the classics like block user sign in, remove the user from Teams channel, remove all group assignments, send a reminder to the manager, because sometimes there could be stuff still left in OneDrive that you need to secure, and so forth. So the possibilities here are endless and can already be done with Entra ID Governance without any bigger technical knowledge. So it's all really, really user friendly and easy to configure for an admin in the Entra ID portal. Now, I see we're already uh, um, getting some questions, or I should not look at the questions. We're just doing this one last demo, I think, and then we have some time for questions here. So here we have a different scenario. So please bear in mind now we're at the guest scenario. That's the famous one. How do I get people into my company so they can do some work for me? So we have to invite some guests. We already know some of the scenarios, the classical one that we invite people to SharePoint to work on a document together. But of course, the question we always get is, do we still need to give them access? Do we still need to have them in there? So having a guest scenario makes things a bit more easier and definitely a bit more compliant in the future. So what we're going to go through here is we're going to trigger provisioning. So we in this case, use the submission form, Microsoft Forms, but that's just for test scenarios. So the possibilities and the combinations you can do is already great. So you can use the whole Microsoft stack that you have at your disposal and use it for those scenarios. Then we're gonna do runbook, and then we're gonna do a validation if it's really the person that it is. So let's go through the workflow, how it's going to be. So this is just a workflow that we put together here. So Microsoft Forms, here we have then just a guest user submit. Yeah, of course, normally that runs different in a real life scenario. Then we set up some logic apps just to convert the data into the way we need. Then we do some user check, we send some invitation out, and we update the attributes and then assign the packages. So we're quickly going to go through this. So here, this is classical when we have a manager or when externals need to be onboarded, especially interesting for smaller companies which don't have a dedicated external workforce management system. So here, a simple invite can be started for this person. Then this is submitted. So we concatenated this email. Of course, we can write stuff in this email. So the manager knows this person has registered. This is the data. So is that something that you know about? And should you approve this? In this case, the manager can directly approve this in the email by clicking on the button. Then what we do is in this case, once this is approved by the manager, and this is a new one, how to get easy control, because we all know that guest accounts are sometimes really, really tricky. They get out of hand quite quickly. We sent a business-to-business invite. The guest can, of course, receive the link. And I guess many of us already know this process. But then we can, of course, ask the user to sign in. And if necessary, for example, we configured this here, we said, okay, no, you need MFA from our company, you need to set it up, then this can be done as well in this workflow. Yeah. And this again is just another overview of the external user that we have here. So we just assigned here an automated access package given on the type of guest we invited. And you also see here, in this case, for example, user lifecycle not governed, but this is something we can configure in, because of course we want our guests to join, but at some point we also want our guests to leave. Here, that's then what was seen, the automated assignment of access packages. So if you know which type of employee joins, so not only the external, of course, but you have the data from your HR system, then please you can assign access package automatically and enable your workforce, enable your user on day one. And this would be just a final view for the end users. So this would also be the same for people in your internal company. They would get this email and they see, okay, hey, I've now a role ready for me. I can activate it, or it's already activated depending on the configuration, and then be productive with it. So the user is also informed, and it's not all silent that the user just got yeah, you just got access. Yeah. Yeah. We have one last scenario. Looking at the time, actually, I have to look at my phone. I'll give it another 4 minutes, then let's go through this quickly. So here we have again a few personas. So we have the guest here, Sophie Carter. She's from another organization. Then, of course, we have our manager and IT admin, and we now want this person to join. But since it's a really critical scenario, we want to know that this is really Sophie and not somebody who just stole the credentials. Yeah, and to be sure that it's her. So in this case, I'm not sure, we're not going to show the enrollment with verified ID. So in this case, the company of Sophie already um, has enrolled her into verified ID. So she has a mobile wallet that she can now present. So when she joins the company, we now want her to verify this with her wallet that she's a verified employee. And once she has verified this, well, she has not verified it yet. Now she goes to our company. So this is then again the IC Consult test tenant, and she can request now the onboarding package. But what happens now when the onboarding package is pressed? So we configured it in this way that in this case, okay, before you request this one, we really, really want to make sure it's really you. So here, a verified ID comes into play in our process. So here, she has to scan the QR, she has to use the Authenticator app, and then present her verified ID to our company. Of course, you need to configure that you trust this other company as well. So it's the same with, it's not exactly the same, but the way how you configure it, that you want to talk with other companies in Teams and so forth. You can block that, you can add that. And here, of course, we need to trust also the other company, because then yeah, there's no sense in it, even if it's a verified ID, if they don't verify that it's really an employee from the other company. So this needs to be done in the background. But for the end user perspective, this would show up. So here she has to do the verified ID, and then just some extra questions which we came up. So we can say, okay, you want to onboard, okay, it's going to cost us licenses. So we make sure that the manager has a good business justification to approve this. So this needs to be entered. And then we also have in our documentation and logs later, we know, okay, this is the reason why this person requested the access package, and we can filter. Once that's done, we can also then ask with the verified ID that this is then trusted. So we need to have some data from Sophie, which we need in our organization. And here she can still accept or decline, which many of you will know this screen. And then from a guest perspective, again, here you see that this was assigned to Sophie. So she's now able to fully work with the tenant she was invited to. So I will not do the last demo, but you will get it in the slides. And I think we're now at exactly 45, so we can come to our questions. And yeah, I'm happy to hear some questions. And let me quickly put up our first slide here. Or not, because it's not loading fast enough. I'll keep then this slide before I keep searching. So then let's have a look at our questions.
Standard questions around if we're recording, and we will share the recording. And
yeah, of course. So at the beginning of the webinar, so we're recording and we will, of course, share it. And then, Sumi, do you want to pick a question? We have a lot.
Yeah, I think one of the questions was around the Magic Quadrant. So I think I've shared the link. We've been a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for access management for over 8 years now. I think the IAG one, the last time around, we were too young, like we were less than a year in market. I think we are expecting the next ones. Hopefully, we'll earn a mention over there. Again, you have to understand this is a fairly mature market, and so we are like the title
Mm,
of this webinar, the new kid on the block. So I think it's
yeah.
a question of it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you
Mm.
are leveraged on Entra ID P1, right, this solution is going to be of immense value to you to connect and govern access to all of your apps and environment. Is it possible, maybe you want to take this one, is it possible to implement a certification of guest accounts in Entra ID?
When I see it. Yeah. So here we go. To implement certification of guest accounts on Entra ID. So yes, we can of course then certify guest accounts on Entra ID. So you mean um, what I just said? So we can verify those. We can use, for example, verified ID to certify those accounts and ensure that this is the right person. Um, that, of course, if you want to have an identity check, then it's going to be the premium variant, as far as I know, Sumi, right? But that can be used to certify those accounts. Also, what you can do then, of course, when you invite guests or you have certain collaborations, if you configure a trust between the other company and also discuss which kind of solutions or processes do you have in place to secure their people. So this would be a B2B scenario, but also guest invite can then, for example, be certified by Entra verified ID. Okay.
Yeah, I'm also finding some of the documentation articles, so you can go deeper. But yes, it's absolutely possible for access reviews for guest users. Actually, one of our more prominent use cases. So.
Yeah. We have been asked, are you approaching access reviews? So in this demo, sadly, I have not included it. But Sumi, um,
Okay.
regarding access reviews, you want to take this?
Sure.
Otherwise, I
So
continue.
from an access review standpoint, you can think of it in multiple ways. You can certainly review access for like all of your guest users or for all of your employees. As you do those access reviews, you have the ability to do it over, multiple approvers. You also have the ability to do cleanup. So for instance, one of the things we commonly come across is that there are guest users or stale identities in the environment. So if if you are able to select, you're able to select who are the inactive guest users and have a policy that runs access reviews and then cleans them from the directory when there's no one there. You're also able to, think about sponsors for these guest users who need to be in your organization. They could be in a different organization. You're able to, review that access. And then, of course,
Mm,
you must, and this is something we recommend, review access of your privileged users at all times, perhaps at a much more rigorous cycle to make sure that that privileged access, which is typically the target
mm,
or a big vulnerability when it comes to security attacks, is always up to date. I would drop more uh, uh,
yeah.
the more,
So,
yeah.
Sumi, if we try to answer every question, we will not make it today. So I'm sorry if we can't pick off all the ones. But I think there's an interesting question for you because you just quickly mentioned the word with A and it stops with I. So I'm just going to read it to you. Um, what AI features are on the roadmap for Entra ID governance and which exists?
So when it comes to roadmap, typically that's NDA information or disclosure. So we need to be in a environment where you have an NDA with Microsoft, and then we can reveal what's on the roadmap to you. But one thing I can say is that there's tremendous amount of investment going in from a Microsoft perspective on AI. You may have seen last week or the week before at Build, where we announced the availability of agents. One is the Intra AI agent, as well as the conditional access agent that is available. I will find the blogs and drop the links for you, but you will see that there is, a constant stream of agentic AI investments from Entra coming in. This will extend obviously to governance, and we will also have capabilities. We're in the early stages in terms of how to govern, these agents and so on. So, like, or these AI workloads going forward. So you'll see things from us on both fronts coming in. And obviously, we do count on our partners like IC Consult to help make these agents become a reality for you.
And
Yeah, I think I have a fun question. The clock on this wall is actually part of my background. My real clock, I had to actually take it down because the the background wouldn't remove it. So this is yeah, that's the reality.
but Sumi, that also stopped, right?
Yeah. That also stopped. So battery issues, I guess.
So both the fake clock and the real clock stopped here. I was a
Yeah.
bit confused because it's early in the morning for Sumi. It's
Okay.
late afternoon for me. So in this case, next time we do it the other way around. So I have to get up early. Yeah. So that's yeah, wrong side of the coast, or well, nice side of the coast, but time-wise further apart. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, we had regarding certify, it's called review. So thanks, colleague here for answering. It's called review in Entra. So yeah, of course, then access or reviewed guest users. I can't tell you. I have now to ask my people from the COE so that we can take with us this question. Um, There's another question. You already answered, but I'll just quickly take this because we kept the SAP part, of course, a bit low here. So this will come up in another webinar for sure. You can count on that because I'm an SAP guy. So SAP IG and SAP SIS are some of the target solutions that we plan to integrate when this comes. So there will be. So Sumi already answered that for the colleagues, so I don't know if we can push this to everybody here, but there will be a preview coming up soon for the solutions, and especially for the SAP solutions. It's moving targets, so knowing SAP, and now I purposely have not looked into any NDA content anymore, something so I can't spoil anything here, Sumi, but just knowing from my experience, and this is just experience talking, it will be step by step further be enhanced together with the SAP colleagues. So stay tuned on that, and we have a lot of customers currently waiting for a few SAP integrations, and that's gonna be enhanced in the future. So, like I said, not approaching the access reviews, but we can for sure demo that in future. So there are access reviews with Entra ID Governance. So there we are with IGA. So all the standard functionality is in there, and we can do our classical access reviews. And what is really, really nice, and I think we'll adopt those access reviews a bit better than the other solutions, is the whole consistency of the UX. So many people are used how to work with the Microsoft UX and are staying in this user experience. So you can all make this seamless for the management. So that makes it easier also for the access reviews, because the biggest problem we have in nowadays is then people jumping to a different system. And if you're not working daily with the system, then you have to tell them, okay, once a day, go to this IGA system and have a look in it. And that's already a problem. That's already what human beings don't do. So that's much nicer, of course, with Microsoft, as it's a consistent UX experience. So anyway, you're working with Office, anywhere you're working with all the Microsoft universe, and then the access reviews are also then showing up there, and you can just jump in there and get them done quite easily. So next time I'll try to show some access reviews. Sorry for that. So many questions. Yeah, Rado. So let's see what we can pick. So okay, no. So then there we are. Okay, so yeah, there was another question. So Sumi already answered that and should be visible, but just to answer that, and it will come up, I guess, with a lot of customers. So right now we can use templates here. So anyway, we are using then different templates per user. So right now you can do this with Logic apps. And yeah, we are able to then customize these emails. And this is very important for us, as you may have seen in the demo, that we can already tailor the email accordingly to what the company needs and the information there. So it's not completely out of the box, but able via the templates.
Yeah, I know we have about 2 minutes left. So I do want to say one thing we have learned is that you really need to explore, say with the help of POCs, and we would highly recommend bringing a partner like IC Consult to help you as part of that exploration to understand if Entra ID governance is the right solution for your environment, right? And we would also be very open to any feedback that you can provide. You can, of course, provide that feedback in terms of, hey, I want more of this, or I want to understand where is Entra headed with this feature, etc. That you require to say IC Consult, David and team And then, they have the direct connection with us to come and tell us what you need to be successful with Entra ID governance in your environment. We welcome such feedback, and I hope you will consider, doing a proof of concept or a proof of value with David and team to really explore this for yourselves.
Thanks a lot for that, Sumi. Yes, and we are excited to do some talks for you. So we are also quite quick, as it's Microsoft. It's easy for us to set up the tenant. It's easy for us to configure something quickly on the fly. So even POCs are a quick thing we can do just to prove that this could be a scenario for your company to work. And yeah. That's what makes me excited again about Microsoft and our COE, of course. So a lot of thanks to our COE for preparing the demo, and a lot of thanks to Sumi for being here. I was really excited when I heard that you will join the webinar. So thank you a lot. Thank you every time again, and have a nice day. And I will now have a nice evening. So bye bye to everyone, and looking forward to your feedback and for your reach outs. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.